All right, hey guys, I'm actually on my way to coffee and conversation with Mayor Michelle Wu. I'm going to try to see if I can get her to answer a couple of questions about the housing situation in Boston, about a lot of these buildings being privatized. It's a huge problem. I'm going to try to see if I can get some questions from her. Hopefully she'll answer some of my questions. I can't guarantee it. I was asked to go to this, if I could, by someone who saw me on Jimmy Dore's show, actually, and they told me about this event. So that's why I'm here. I definitely want to hear from her because the housing situation is a problem. I'm going to put my phone down now because I am moving. All right, guys. Hey, guys. I'm here. We're in Jamaica Plain. We're here for Michelle Wu's Coffee and Conversation. I actually was invited to this by Pastor John Wheeler. They're hoping to get questions to her about the housing issue that is going on in Boston, about them trying to privatize certain buildings. It's been a problem for a long time. I told you guys about the gentrification issue. So they haven't started yet, but I'm going to try to see if I can get some interviews. And all right. All right, so I'm here with Pastor John Wheeler. Do you want to tell everyone why you came out today?
We're out here today because of the gentrification of our neighborhood. Mayor Wu and Boston Housing and all their partners are planning on tearing down our community center where we've I've been here for 50 years, and I met my wife there, and we have many memories of that place. It was the place where the Boston Black Panthers, the founder of Boston Black Panthers, they had their breakfast program there. Also, working with the Black Panthers was Brother Cornell West. Yeah, he worked in there as well. We're trying to stop the gentrification of the neighborhood, and in any way possible, to make it where people don't wind up homeless, because what they're planning on doing is they're going to tear down the buildings and change it from Section 9 to Section 8. And with Section 8, you know, when your children get so old, your children have to leave your home. Also, with Section 8, you know, you have to pay the lights, the gas, and any kind of fees. We have a person who's supposed to be a community leader. She said she advocated that we would pay a fee anywhere from $25 up, and which could be $200, but people are struggling to pay their rent already. That would make it even harder for them, and they're definitely to be evicted. And so, you know, we're out here trying our best just to be heard.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. That's why we had to move. Like during the pandemic, we had to move further out because we just can't afford it.
Yes.
It's too much. It's too much.
Yes.
I know that, especially this part of JP Center Street. Yes. I remember when they brought the Whole Foods in over here.
Oh,
and I said, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Like that's just gonna. It's a mess. It's a mess. And it's happening everywhere.
Their intention is to bring Whole Foods from there to where the Stop and Shop is at. And we had a community health center. The Children's Hospital bought it up, and now the community can't use it. They built a daycare center in our neighborhood, and community children aren't able to use it. They shut down all of our youth programs. We had Family Day. We had what was called the little in the big cave. The teenagers got to go to the big cave, and the younger children got to the little cave. But we did homework and many things, and they shut that down. They gave our cave to ABCD, and so they run their office out of there. And we don't have that anymore. We used to have a soccer program. They took that away from us, you know, so our children have something to do other than hang around on the corners.
See, this is what I was telling people about them getting rid of like the after school programs and all these recreational activities. Like those are things for kids to do when they're finished with school, and they just one by one they just remove them and take them away.
We have a tenant in our neighborhood who for the last 4 years She got her legs amputated from the knee down, and she lives up on the second floor. And she's been begging them to move her to a first floor, where there's a first floor apartment right in her building.
Right.
And they refuse to give it to her. And myself and my children, we have been hit with retaliation since we've been fighting them. They threatened to move us to McCormick in South Boston, where I have a special needs daughter who it takes her a while to learn. So she knows how to get to her appointments, to her school back home. So the person from Boston Housing said, well, she can learn again, but it took me years to get her to learn that. So they really don't care about the people. They don't care what your needs are. All they care about is the needs of themselves.
No, it's true. I definitely hear you. I wonder, when Marty Walsh was still here, did he have these kind of like sessions?
No, he didn't.
He's a trip.
Yeah. I worked for the guy who was running against him, a royal.
Oh yeah.
So but we lost, so we have to concede that. But we're hoping not to lose this. We're planning on having a community day in the neighborhood, which is in June, the 11th. Also, I'm trying to do a save the community center, and I'm trying to bring in Cornell West and hopefully any other speakers that I can get to come in.
If you do that event, definitely let me know. I can also help crowdfund for that if need be, because we do a lot of that for tours before.
Oh, excellent.
So yeah, anything we need to keep those things in place. I mean, eventually it's going to get to the point where the only people living here are professionals in the city.
Yes, and that's the scary thing is once you push the poor out, you have to ask the question, where are they going to go? She can't build enough homeless shelters on the boulevard where we had a thriving park there where Afro-Americans, every summer everybody would go there and have a picnic. Now that's gone. So that's where she's going to build her homeless encampment over there. It's like everything that we have is being taken away from us, and we don't know how to slow their progress or to get them to recognize that we are people too, and we here in Bromley Heath, Mildred Haley started Bromley Heath. She started it with one building, and she took encamped the whole thing. She was a good friend with Ronald Reagan, and Ronald Reagan helped her to become tenant management in Bromley Heath. We were a place where everybody in every state would come to see our neighborhood and see the things that how we work together as a neighborhood. Mildred said we are family, and that's how we react.
That's right. That's right.
Basically, that you were more just simply. How can I say? You were basically just you're just another number. You were basically.
Yep.
Kind of like, if I was to, gotta try to describe it, you were just one of the pawns on the chessboard. Of little to no consequence.
We're really grateful to have a leader that appreciates parks, that knows the value of parks. So it's now my pleasure to introduce the mayor of the city of Boston, Mayor Michelle Wu.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Another big hand for our parks team, for Commissioner Ryan Woods, for Chief Mariama Whiteman. This is an incredible series of meet and greets and coffee hours across the city. We're now 3 down, 17 to go. So it's so much effort and energy from the part of our teams here, and we love, this is what I live for in this job, the chance to see everyone, check in, to hear what we should be working on, and to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing. So it's been about 160 days now, and we are going strong. Everyone who works in the city of Boston, can you raise your hand? Okay, so look around. These are the incredible city team that are working every day. The big issues, small issues. There are so many issues right now that the city of Boston is tackling. This is an important moment for our country, for our democracy, and we feel that urgency every day. our philosophy, 3 ways that I want to push our administration to think differently about how we move faster and more in partnership with communities. One is that we do the big things by getting the small things right. I say we build our democracy pothole by pothole. When you reach out, we need to be there. And we need you to reach out. And so we are working through our community engagement cabinet to make sure that the city can proactively partner, walk alongside residents, have our Field Fridays. Tiffany is our Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Services liaison on the ground every day. So Tiffany and the entire ONS team are dedicating much of their time outside of City Hall. So they'll be doing Field Fridays where you can come find them in the local coffee shops and businesses, or just walking down our streets, reporting different issues into 311 so that we can be more responsive, more proactively. Okay, so in addition to getting the big things done by doing the small things right, second is getting City Hall out of City Hall, into our neighborhoods, into our community centers, into our streets, and partnering with residents to meet everyone where they are. Third is to embrace the possibility of Boston. We are in an incredible moment where we have the chance to respond to urgent issues and set a foundation for our future and deliver on the details to really show just what's possible and for Boston to lead the way. It's the greenest city in America, the most family-friendly city in America. To do so, we need affordable housing everywhere. We need to have transportation access everywhere. We need our open spaces and climate resiliency built into every conversation. I am so grateful to do this work alongside incredible colleagues and partners. And so I'm going to hand the mic now to 2 of them who are here in elected office. I think I saw some candidates in the crowd as well. I want these coffee hours to be an example and model for democracy. So if there's a candidate who wants to give a very quick shout out or self-introduction, make your way up here as well. But we will start with your city councilor, Kendra Latta.
Thank you, Mayor Wu. Good morning, JP. Good morning. All right, try again. Good morning, JP. Oh, it's so beautiful to be here. This. I am a JP girl through and through, and I'm very, very happy to be your newly elected District 6 City Councilor. Thank you.
Mayor Wu, this is Pastor John Wheeler.
Hello.
We're just curious about the housing issue because like gentrification is increasing here, and we just see more and more people getting pushed out of the community, and we're just worried there's not going to be enough affordable housing. Are there any plans to build more affordable housing?
Yes. So we have a couple of funding streams that we're clawing all that we can for affordable housing. So this year in the budget, $385 million going to affordable housing across the federal recovery funds, our operational budget and our capital budget. It's again, some of what we need, and it's not about the dollar amount, it's about the impact, but that will really allow us to tie together all the programming around acquisition opportunity projects to keep renters in their homes. We have our rent stabilization committee going to work on legislation in the State House. We are trying to accelerate and prioritize affordable housing proposals so they can move faster through the approvals process, and then actively looking to create a lot, thousands more units.
We're mainly from Bromley Heath, over right across here, and we have Bromley Hall, the place where the Black Panthers serve the first free breakfast program, and the lunch program. We have many memories in that place, and they're planning on demolishing that building. And we understand that the neighborhood and the buildings. But as far as Bromley Hall, we've had funerals there. We've had marriages there. We had the first radio station in this neighborhood that's still upstairs called WTMC.
What is it? Sorry.
Pastor John Wheeler.
Oh, hi. Nice to meet you. I would love to continue the conversation.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I would love to continue that conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to get your information.
Thank you so much for coming.
Mayor, I have one question. A few months ago, you said you were going to give $50 million to Bromley Heath. But a lot of residents haven't heard where that money is going or where it's going to be spent. So, what's going to be happening with that money?
So it's actually more than that as well. We ended up, it's partially through the federal recovery funds, partially through the capital budget. It's going to go to phase 1 improvements to the site, improvements to some of it's really basic stuff like bathrooms have mold because the ventilation isn't there for the showers. And
I heard about the plans, but who's going to be handling the money? And like when is it going to be given? Because like no one's really been hurt. And, like a lot of the residents haven't been hearing about. Like when
that's a good question. The process is that we have to make a proposal to the city council, and then the city council has to vote to actually allocate the funds. So from now until the end of June is when the city's budget process is happening. Knock on wood, we can get to some version of an approved budget by June, and then the ARPA funds, I don't know what the timeline is. Again, it depends on council approval, but we're working to try to make sure that we can get those out there as quickly as possible, but it won't be until we can get a vote allocated.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
All right, so I'm back here with Pastor John Wheeler. We just talked to Mayor Wu about the affordable, like the housing issue.
Yes.
How do you feel about that? Like her response? Feel reassured or?
Not at all. I felt it was a nothing sandwich. She didn't speak about any plans to change anything. She didn't speak of any policies or anything. She just gave us a nothing sandwich and passed us on to somebody else.
Yeah, I did. I will say, I feel like this event, I was expecting, when they got up there to speak, I was expecting to hear like some policy decisions, some plans, like next steps, like for the community. And I didn't hear any of that. I felt like this was like a promotion candidate event. So I think next time around, it would be good to explain to people what are your plans, what are your policies, and not just get up there and say, hey, welcome community. Like people need homes. People have to pay rent. Like it's expensive to live here. So I don't know what that was. Like, I'm sorry.
Are you okay?
You okay?
Yeah.
I expected more. What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think an event like this is not really about engaging with the community at all. It's about bringing in all these kind of overpaid people who work for these nonprofits and, you know, whatever else kind of, you know, fake liberal people want to come out and get photo op with the mayor and kind of, you know, smile and kind of rub shoulders with each other. That's really what it's about entirely. I mean, you saw maybe 3 or 4 people coming over from Bromley Heath, from the project over there. Nobody really knew about it at all. And they don't really actually want those people to come out because they don't actually want to be accountable to the people who live here.
This is her second time coming through our neighborhood. The first time, only way we found out about it, it was on the news. And she was right in our neighborhood. And she didn't even let the tenants know, as the tenants didn't know this time.
And I know that for myself. I also tried to ask a question of the mayor, and as the gentleman right here can tell you, I was immediately pushed off.
Really?
Yes.
See, this is the thing. Okay, when people say that, you know, me or the rest of RBN, we're too hard on politicians, that we need to be nicer to them, I disagree. I would be nice if they were actually delivering some type of tangibles, if they were giving people benefits and things that they need, but they're not. Like when you just come out and just say, hey, this person is running and this other person is running for office, that's cute, but what are you going to do to fix the problems in the community? That's the problem. Like, you have to hold them accountable. And when you see politicians, you should ask them tough questions. You shouldn't just be there to take a picture. I mean, that's kind of how I see it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, she spoke in a lot of these empty platitudes and said, you know, we're for affordable housing, we're for access to transportation. The affordable housing thing especially, it sounds like a nice progressive demand, but it's a real euphemism that they use to, you know, what does affordable housing really mean? It's a way that they can talk about getting rid of public housing, getting rid of actually providing for the people. You know, they define affordable in a city by using the statistic called area median income, which includes, it's not, the name is very misleading because you would think it would just include the community directly, where the area median income, like in Roxbury and Jamaica Plain, is much lower. But it includes very wealthy communities in Newton, even New Hampshire, in the Boston area median income. And so it's like a 6-figure salary for a family of 4 is what they say, which nobody really makes in the city, is an actual working person. And this is how they kind of use these word games to trick people into thinking they're really for the people, thinking they're really for progress. Meanwhile, in BHA's own plans, they talk about how they're planning to get rid of and privatize 40% or more of the existing public housing that they have. And they've already been privatizing many of it, passing it off to private development, turning into Section 8 or market rate or through this like affordable housing scam. But yeah, it's just empty talk and nothing sandwich, like you said.
Yeah. Just that one more thing, you know, in addition to calling affordable housing, they get a lot of nonprofits like JPNDC, Urban Edge, you know, to make it seem like, oh, they're doing something good for the people, you know. But even right here, you saw one of the candidates that Wu was endorsing was worked for JPNDC before, you know. So, I mean, the connections are pretty clear, you know. They're not here for the people. It's just a way of making it look nice, but really it's just a way to trick people into thinking that the system's working for them, but it's not.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what these politicians are about. I mean, she's talking about her constituents. This is the constituents that she talks about. You know, when you can see that she's receiving tens of thousands of dollars from all the real estate developers all over Boston. Those are her constituents. And then, you know, it's important to have some of these progressive people who kind of talk in language that sounds like they're doing something positive when really under the surface, as they're saying, it's really nothing at all, and it's actually making things worse. You know, one thing we found is, you know, back in 2014, the Boston city government, they described these things they're doing to public housing now as privatization. But that was before they started doing them. Once they started doing them, they had to rebrand everything so that they would, you know, could bamboozle people.
And they've said that we're spreading disinformation for calling it a privatization and say, no, it's not that. It's a public-private partnership.
Yeah. So now they're saying we're replacing public housing, but they're not saying what they're replacing it with. They're replacing it with less affordable subsidized housing and using it as an excuse to bring in luxury apartments into all of these neighborhoods. And they call that affordable housing. So, you know, it's important that we really kind of see clearly that most of what they're saying is a complete lie. And if it's not a complete lie, they're just twisting words around.
Yeah, I can explain to you guys like what has been happening. So I've been here for a little over 10 years now. I've been through 3 mayors. So every one of them said we're going to make more affordable housing units. We're going to do that. And then over time, all I saw was more condos, more condos going up. And it's not just Boston. It's happening in Cambridge. It's happening in Somerville as well. And it's just spreading further out, actually, to be honest with you. And so these real estate developers come in, they buy up these apartment buildings, which already have tenants in them, by the way. And then the landlords, a lot of times they don't turn down the offer because they want the money. So they go ahead and they give the building to them, and then those tenants have to find another place to live, which isn't easy to do, by the way. A lot of places want you to have 3 months rent up front. So that's what's been happening. And that's happened to friends of mine. That's happened to people, like some of my students as well. So it's a big problem. And they continue to let the real estate developers come in and buy up the buildings, and people just get pushed further and further out. And I don't see anybody trying to fix that issue. So,
yeah. And if I can add, it's basically because, you know, we can't basically allow the landlords to basically, you know, have it where it seems like their hands are washed of it. The Boston Housing Authority, the landlord that which we're living in underneath, as soon as they basically got control of our complex, one of the first things that they did was they started neglecting everything, allowing everything to be run down. So that basically, once everything was just too bad, they were like, oh, well, I guess we'll just have to sell this off. I mean, because, you know, you guys know that, you know, even though we're constantly getting rent, and we're one of the things that they've been doing is that they subtly raise it a little bit year by year. And like, even though we're getting all this money, and like, we surely can't go and fix all of this stuff, so we've got to sell it off. And one of the things is that basically for my father and I, because we're tenants here, they basically have openly retaliated against us for not only bringing up this neglect, but also kind of putting this stuff out.
I think the next time they have one of these events, I think they need to have a Q&A session. Because people have questions, and, you know, if you're going to improve things, you should be willing to take those difficult questions.
Yes, it's time to get out of the party system.
Yes.
And recognize that they were a one-party system.
Yeah.
You know, the Democrats are the Republicans, the Republicans are the Democrats.
Yeah.
And neither one of them are a people party.
And not to mention, we also have to get into this mentality that, you know, we have to sit around and wait for the politicians to save us. And we actually have to start, basically, you know, start making some noise, getting things shaken up, because otherwise, basically just sitting there and basically just politely waiting for, you know, any of these politicians, like, you know, waiting for like the Bernie Sanders and the Ocasio-Cortezes and all of them to basically to stop them sitting on their thumbs, and that type of stuff is only going to come from the people kind of putting pressure on.
Guys, thank you so much. Thanks so much.